There is no legal basis for the Vancouver Police Department to continue with street checks. It must end.
The Vancouver Police Board will review a report on Thursday suggesting that street checks targeting Indigenous and Black people have decreased in the last year. But police critics say it's not about how many people are stopped on the street, but rather officers shouldn't be street checking people in the first place.
The concern that we have isn't whether they are street checking 10 people or hundreds of thousands of people. The issue is that I think it sets up an imbalance of power where a person in uniform with a weapon comes up and begins to question you. And if you're the person being questioned, it doesn't feel voluntary.
Vancouver police say street checks are any voluntary interaction between a police officer and a person which is more than a casual conversation and impedes the person's movement. Just 261 street check records were submitted in 2020. Compare that to the 4,544 records submitted in 2019. That's a decrease of 94.3%. And the VPD defines only 75 of those records as proactive street checks. Police say that drop is likely due to a January 2020 policy on street checks that prohibits officers from stopping people on the sole basis of an identifying factor, like race. But Megan McDermott with the BC Civil Liberties Association is critical of the VPD report.
If they can continue to do their work with severely limiting how they interact with people on the street and infringing on people's liberty interests and privacy interests, it kind of begs the question of why they're still so defensive about the practice and why they keep making the case for why they need this tool so badly.
The BCCLA continues to call for a ban on the practice. The police say banning street checks would hamper their ability to fulfill their oath of public office, from doing proactive police work, responding to calls about suspicious behavior, executing warrants for arrests, and checking on people's well-being. And they maintain anyone who states that street checks are illegal are wrong. McDermott thinks the police are confused about their own policies.
Members of our community are being treated as suspects when there's nothing to be suspicious about. And so to see this continued confusion or the blurring of the lines between it is extremely disturbing. And if the police don't know what their rights are, where their obligations end and where our human rights begin, then I'm really troubled about what the public might make about reports like this.
In Vancouver, Kier Junos, City News.